Welcome back, everybody, to another cryptocurrency news article. This one comes out of crypto.news, and Nigeria tries to enforce cashless society with CBDC eNaira amidst its financial disaster. So let's see how that's going in this article. Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation and largest economy, is currently facing a financial crisis that has underscored the importance of cryptocurrencies for its population of over 219 million people. Despite the government's launch of a central bank digital currency, the eNaira citizens have shown little interest and have instead turned to mainstream crypto assets despite a ban on their use. The central bank's new policy and its effects. Last October, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the country's apex bank, declared the redesign of the most widely circulated denominations of the Naira, specifically the 200, 500, and 1,000 cash notes. The CBN urged the public to deposit their old notes at the various banks throughout the country before January 31st, at which they would no longer be considered legal tender. Now, despite the deadline being extended to February 10th, the shortage of new Naira notes has led to a financial crisis in the country. This is because the central bank reportedly released only 500 billion Naira into circulation, as opposed to the required 3 trillion Naira. Now, consequently, most banks were still dispensing the old notes to their customers in the few days leading up to the deadline, according to a local outlet, The Cable. Now, pandemonium erupted with businesses rejecting the old notes to avoid having them in possession when they are eventually declared invalid. Amid the ensuing financial crisis, a group of several state stakeholders dragged the federal government and the CBN to the country's Supreme Court, seeking an extension of the deadline. Now, following a hearing on the matter, the Supreme Court ordered that the deadline be suspended and the old notes allowed to remain as legal tender. But nonetheless, the federal government has not obeyed the order, mandating the CBN to keep its deadline. Now, as the deadline inches closer, banks were later prohibited from swapping banknotes. And furthermore, owing to the scarcity of the new notes, the CBN directed Nigerians to head to its branches across the country and deposit their old cash to their bank accounts without receiving the new notes, leaving them with no hard money and presenting digital payments as the only option available. Now, with the deadline approaching, the old notes are no longer considered legal tender, as banks and businesses are now rejecting them. Several people familiar with the matter told Crypto.news that the federal government only ordered the CBN to reissue and recirculate the old 200 Naira notes until April 10th. Now, the government insists that the recent policy is aimed at rendering stored up cash by bandits and kidnappers useless, employing Nigerians to bear with the situation, according to a source. Now, here's a tweet from the Central Bank of Nigeria press release showing the attention of Central Bank of Nigeria has been drawn to some fake and unauthorized messages quoting the CBN as having authorized the deposit money banks to collect the old N500 and N1000 banknotes. For the avoidance of doubt and in line with Mr. President's broadcast of February 16, 2023, the CBN has been directed to only reissue and recirculate the old N200 banknotes, and this is expected to circulate as legal tender for 60 days and up to April 10, 2023. Members of the public should therefore disregard any messages and or information not formally released by the Central Bank of Nigeria on this subject. Media practitioners are advised to please verify any information from the correct sources before publication. Now, the limitations of fiat payment systems and the prevailing crisis. The release of a limited amount of new notes has led to a disturbing scarcity and subsequent cash crunch, which Victor Ibrahim, growth marketer at Devi AI, ascribed to efforts at forcing the populace to switch to a digital payment system. Now, Nigeria as a nation is trying to shy away from fiat and move more into the digital economy. This can be seen in the recent cash hoard, which is mandating people to use digital platforms like mobile transfers, USSD, and POS. He added that the country's eNaira, which retains the same values as the fiat naira, was part of the earliest efforts geared towards this push to a more digital payment system. However, the eNaira has not enjoyed as much adoption as the government envisioned due to its centralized control, Ibrahim claimed. As a means to enforce the cashless policy, recall the central bank's restricted cash withdrawals to weekly limits of 100,000 naira, and that's around $270 for individuals, and 500,000 naira for corporate organizations. However, following a series of complaints from stakeholders, these withdrawal limits were revised to 500,000 naira for individuals and 5 million, that's a little over $1,000 US, for corporate organizations, but this revision has also been met with sharp criticism. Now, amid this enforcement and the prevailing cash crunch, the country's national Fiat transfer system, the NIBSS, has struggled to cope with the increase in digital transactions, resulting in numerous failed transactions. And additionally, the shift towards digital payments has put a strain on the mobile banking apps, with several of them crashing repeatedly. People familiar with this matter stated. Now, most banks domiciled in the country have received numerous complaints from their customers regarding failed transactions as the systems experience unprecedented congestion. As the crisis heated up, some citizens have resorted to destroying banking facilities in an effort to voice out their frustration, a move that the authorities have readily condemned. So yeah, it's not looking too good over there. But according to the report from a local paper, Punch newspapers, numerous protesters attempted to break into CBN offices in Benin City, Edo State, on February 15th. In a video shared, security officers were seen firing shots in an attempt to disperse the protesters who were bent on vandalizing the bank's facilities. 2 protesters were reported to have been killed from it. So yeah, there's that video showing it. I will not play it. But numerous demonstrators took to the streets across several states in the country, specifically Union Bank, First Bank at Keystone Bank saw their branches in the Ogun state set ablaze by rioters who bemoaned the rejection of the old banknotes, despite the state's government assurance that the old notes will still be accepted. Now, against the backdrop, the ongoing crisis, the Nigerian crypto community has stressed the need to incorporate cryptocurrencies into the country's financial system. Oluwasegun Kosamani, the founder of the BTC transfer system, BuyMeCash, recently highlighted this in need. So here is his tweet on that. I just spent 1,000 naira from my Naira MasterCard by GT Bank to buy 10,000 naira cash from the PalmPay POS. The Nigerian government is intentionally forcing its citizens into a cashless Keynesian economy, while they position their surveillance CBDC eNaira as a final destination. Now, Kosamani called attention to the prevailing situation regarding cash withdrawals in the country amid the crisis, where citizens are forced to pay a substantial amount of fees for withdrawals from independent roadside bank agents. As banks have closed most of their official branches, some agents collect as much as 30% to 35% on withdrawal fees. Now, speaking on this situation, crypto podcaster Mary Imasun noted that the crisis could have been more ameliorated if Nigerians could pay for goods and services using cryptocurrencies. So yeah, here's that tweet. Someone told me yesterday that to withdraw N20,000, they had to pay N3,000 money, and is being sold for money right now. This is the best time to use Bitcoin in Nigeria because it's basically already set for you. You don't need the banks to do it. And yeah, someone told me yesterday that to withdraw N20,000, they had to pay N3,000 money, and this is being sold for money right now. Now, this is the best time to use Bitcoin in Nigeria, she said. If vendors were open to accepting Bitcoin payments, then we wouldn't have to deal with the craziness happening in the country right now. I've seen videos of people in banking halls stripping to get hurt, people angry that they can't get money from their own accounts. Moreover, the program director at Kuala Africa, Femi Lange, believes that the eNaira did not pave the way for the current currency crisis. It's just a bit part player in a bigger drama that is not of its making. The CBN cashless policy long predates the creation of the eNaira and a way for more volume of money moves in the Nigerian economy, digitally and outside of the eNaira. Now, Long also added that the current crisis in the country is created by a mixture of forex shortages, which have gone a few years now, caused by dwindling oil revenues, corruption, alternative means of value, transferring, including Bitcoin, and a terrible central bank policy. Now, a desire to bring back into the banking system tons of paper currency stolen and stashed away by the government officials and politicians, an interest in reducing the amount of paper currency available for vote by buying during the presidential election on Saturday, and frankly, just terrible implementations of what should have been a routine currency swap exercise. Now, speaking with Crypto.news, Long also added that the eNaira is not responsible for any of these. It's just a bonehead program that the CBN fast-tracked into the hope that it would help them get a foothold in digital payments, but it didn't really work out. On the other hand, the CEO of Paxful, Ray Youssef, further commented on the crisis and the opportunity it presents, noting his desire for Bitcoin while pointing out El Salvador's situation. So here's Ray Youssef's tweet. Imagine a world where the people rise up in open revolt of their central banks with Bitcoin as their choice. The wet dream of Bitcoin is happening right now in Nigeria. This is our time to show the world how viable our vision is. And El Salvador was nice, but this is everything. So yeah, Nigerians shunned the eNaira resorts to peer-to-peer amid crypto's ban. Now, despite the financial crisis, the adoption of the eNaira has been sluggish, according to a report from The Punch, a local media outlet. The study, citing recent IMF accounts, revealed that as of November 2022, the total downloads of the eNaira wallet stood at partly 942,000 downloads. So not the full population. It's not even 1%. I don't know. But in addition, the majority of the wallets that were downloaded have been inactive, as only 8% of them are actively in use. And the average transactions amount for these wallets is 53,000 Naira, so 120 US dollars. Now, regardless of the initial hype surrounding the launch of the eNaira on October 2021, the CBDC has been largely ignored by Nigerians, who have instead directed their attention to mainstream cryptocurrencies. According to a survey conducted by Morning Consult last year, a significant proportion of 63.8 million adult Nigerians, equivalent to 56% of the country's total adult population, engage in regular cryptocurrency trading. This figure surpasses that of any other country. In contrast, the United States reaches roughly 43.4 million individuals, representing only 16% of the adult population. So that's pretty big. Now, in addition to current data, it indicates that Nigeria was ranked as the country with the highest level of interest in cryptocurrencies globally. Last year, specifically, it secured the top position in terms of how to buy Bitcoin searches in 2022. Now, in the aftermath of the prohibition of cryptocurrency trading in Nigeria in February 2021, citizens of the country began utilizing the peer-to-peer transactions as a matter of fact. A significant proportion of the peer-to-peer trades conducted on Paxful, and they were executed by Nigerians. Now, the ban has done little to hamper the growth of cryptocurrencies in the country. People familiar with the matter said, rather, it has resulted in black market setups where digital assets are sold at a premium, particularly due to the irregular exchange rate of the Naira at its current price of 24,700 Bitcoin, and it is trading at 18.5 million Naira based on the black market rate, so of 750 Naira per dollar. However, 18.5 million Naira is the equivalent of 41,100 US dollars, so just a little under over half is that premium. Now, based on the official rate of 450 Naira per dollar, at least, and also last December, how is that name? Babangida Ibrahim, the chairman of the House of Reps Committee on Capital Markets and Institutions, disclosed that the House of Representatives intends to pass a law that will permit and regulate the use of cryptocurrencies in the country, and there hasn't been any useful update on the process since then, but the current situation has underscored the need to expedite it. The CBN did not respond to a request for comment on the matter, though. Oh man, lots of information right there on what's going on in Nigeria. So yeah, the CBDC rollup was just a fast track, but it wasn't like the situation going on wasn't because of it. It's been going on prior to that. And yeah, trying to ban cryptocurrencies just pushes for a black market of people using the mainstream ones like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, or whatever coins. Who knows if they're even using Dodge, but no, it's like the premium. That's crazy. It's literally double. It's like for US dollars would be $41,000 for the exchange. They need some stuff to work out right there. Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. Just switch the law, just change it. Okay, let's add cryptocurrencies on top of the CBDC. Make the CBDC available as well as it. So that way you can push the digital. See which one people use. Maybe they'll use both, but you got to make it acceptable so people don't go for the black market. Makes it fair for the citizens. But yeah, Bitcoin's already created everything. You have so many Lightning wallets out there that you can use to make transactions penniless, so they're not like generally people would say if they just transact it on the normal blockchain. But yeah, lots of news information right there. If you guys enjoyed this article, hit that thumbs up for me, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, the Crypto Sherpa is out.